Welcome to today's discussion from Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. Today we are going to discuss the final 8 shlokas of Bhagavad Gita, verses 70 to 78, chapter 18, the perfection of renunciation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langate Kirim Kripatam Mandesh Krute Dharanam Padmatum Shri Chaitanya Shamariam Tatsat. Verse 70. Adheshyate cha ya imam dharmyam samvad bhavayo jnana yagyena tenaham ishtasyam iti me mati. So this was verse 70. I just read it again. And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence. Verse 71. Shraddhavana nasuyascha shrunuyad api yo naraha so api muktah subha lokan prapnuyat punya karmanam. And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. Verse 72. Kachid etach shrutam partha tvaiyak akegrana chetasa kachid agyana sammoha pranastas te dhananjaya. O son of Pritha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? And are you ignorance and illusion now dispelled? Verse 73. Arjunuvacha nashto moha smritir labdha tvat prasadan maya chuta sthito asmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. Verse 74. Sanjay vacha ityaham vasudevasya parthasya cha mahatmanah samvadam imam shrosh madbhutam romaharshanam. Sanjay said, thus have I heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjun, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end. Verse 75. Vyasa pratsadach shrutvan etad guhyam aham param yogam yogeshwarat krishnat sakshat kathayatah swayam. By the mercy of Vyas, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjun. Verse 76. Rajam Keshwararjunayoho punyam rishyami cha muhurmuhu. Verse 77. Tash samsmritya rupam atya adbhutam hare vishamayo me mahan rajan rishyami cha punah punah. O king, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoice again and again. Verse 78. Yatra yogeshwarah krishno yatra partho dhanurdharah tatra shrir vijayo bhutir dhruvanitir matir mama. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjun, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. So, in verse 70, Bhagavan was saying that whoever is going to study the sacred conversation of Arjun and Krishna, that will be like worship of Krishna. So the study of Bhagavad Gita is the worship of Krishna with our intelligence. Verse 71, Bhagavan says that one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. So to connect with Krishna, there are multi-levels of worships, we can say. So there's a ladder, and we should know that if at least we study, we will manage to connect with Krishna. So the different types of worships are there. If you can't do anything, if you can't preach or cannot do various other kinds of worships, at least the least we can do is try to understand the message of Bhagavad Gita, which Krishna has given through Arjun to all of us. And if you can't study, there is another option. We can always hear. Bhagavad Gita removes all our illusions, all our doubts, and it restores our determination. So Punya Karmanam is a very significant word here. Prabhupada is telling us that the ones who are free from sinful reactions, they take very easily to Krishna consciousness. And it was like big yagyas in the past yugas, Ashwamedh yagya, then if somebody's, there's so many levels of where we can reach by worshipping Krishna. If we can't worship Krishna properly, if there's some impediment in our worship, if there's some lacking, we will reach one step of ladder, and the highest step of the ladder is Krishna. In verse 72, Bhagwan says, O son of Pritha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind, and are your ignorance and illusions now dispelled? So, in other words, Bhagwan is saying to Arjun that ignorance of not knowing about his duty, has he understood now, and he understands, Arjun, does he understand where he was wrong? So Bhagwan is like the spiritual master or the guru of Arjun here in Bhagavad Gita. And now being a guru, he's asking Arjun, Prabhupada's telling us that has he understood the Bhagavad Gita in its complete perspective? Because a guru takes one from darkness to the light. Verse 73, Arjun says, My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt, and am prepared to act according to your instructions. Now, these words of Arjun, they are the highest form of surrender, that he is totally surrendered to Krishna and he wants to act according to the instructions of Krishna. So we have to act according to the order of the Lord, and that is meant for self-discipline. So if we understand the orders of the Lord, then it's easy for us to follow the rules and regulations which we have to understand, the discipline we have to follow in worshipping the Lord. And if we forget that simple principle that we are the eternal servant of Bhagwan, then we will get more conditioned by this material nature. Already we are conditioned from our past lives. We know that goes without saying. And Maya is there with full force to trap us. And Krishna is here in Bhagavad Gita. He He has told us everything, and we have to acknowledge what we are able to understand and try to serve Bhagwan in the best of our capacities. And this illusion which we have in our minds of not serving to Krishna, that is also going to be removed by Krishna's mercy itself. Nobody else can help, or by the mercy of a pure devotee. And mercy of the pure devotee and Krishna, they are both connected. Because a devotee gets mercy from Krishna, and devotee can pass the mercy to us. In verse 74, Sanjay says, I have heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjun, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end. So in the beginning, Dhritarashtra was inquiring from Sanjay about the war in the battlefield in Kurukshetra, and Sanjay was able to get the entire commentary through his spiritual master Vyas, and he was able to explain that to Dhritarashtra in turn. So Sanjay has realized this, that Arjun is a great devotee of Lord, and he is going to follow the instructions of Lord. And Sanjay, he understood it, and he relayed the whole conversation to Dhritarashtra. So it was concluded that wherever there is Krishna and Arjun, there is victory. Verse 75, by the mercy of Vyas, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjun. So these are the words of Sanjay. He says that he's heard the most confidential talks of Krishna and Arjun by the mercy of his spiritual master Vyasdev, and also Krishna explains us in the chapter 6, Yoginam api sarvesham. So there are many yogis all over the world, but Krishna is the master of all yoga systems. Narad is the direct disciple of Krishna and spiritual master of Vyasdev. So Vyasdev is a bona fide guru, genuine guru of Arjun, because he comes in a line of disciplic succession. So in Bhagavad Gita, all the yoga systems, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga have been explained. And by the grace of Vyas, Sanjay was able to hear from Krishna, and then he was able to understand and pass it on to Dhritarashtra as well. So hearing from Krishna directly or hearing from your spiritual master is not different, is same. Verse 76, O King, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjun, I take pleasure being thrilled at every moment. Now Sanjay is saying that he is very much happy to hear the transcendental message of Bhagavad Gita, the topics of Arjun and Krishna, and he feels enlightened, and this is the exact situation of anyone who hears these conversations between the Lord and Arjun. So hearing these conversations will give us Krishna consciousness if we hear them from the right source. Verse 77, Sanjay says, O king, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoice again and again. So by the grace of Vyasadeva, Sanjay could see the universal form Krishna exhibited to Arjun, and which was never exhibited before. It was only done for Arjun. So by the grace of a spiritual master, Sanjay was also able to remember and see the universal form of Krishna. So by hearing Bhagavad Gita, our determination can come back just as Arjun's determination came back. So the last verse, verse 78. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjun, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. So Bhagavad Gita started with the inquiry of Dhritarashtra. He was hopeful that the victory of his sons was certain, assisted by the great warriors like Bhishma, Drona, and Karan on one side. But describing the scene, as we remember, Sanjay told the king that you are thinking of victory, but Sanjay's opinion was that wherever Krishna and Arjuna are present, they will be all good fortune. So indirectly, so he confirmed with Dhritarashtra that he should not expect victory for his side. The victory was certain for the side of Arjun because Lord Krishna was there. Krishna had accepted the role of the charioteer, the Parthasarthi. Parth is another name of Arjun, and Sarthi, as we know, is the charioteer. So that is also an opulence. Krishna is full of opulences. Renunciation is one of them. And Krishna is also the master of renunciation, that for his devotee, Krishna agreed to become the charioteer. And from Bhagavad Gita, we can understand that by the meditation process and by philosophical process, we can understand, we can realize ourselves, but to fully surrender to Bhagwan, Krishna is the highest of all perfections. And this is the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, that we should surrender to Krishna. This will be the highest perfection of our life. So the different religions may be a confidential path of knowledge, but devotional service to Krishna in full Krishna consciousness is the most confidential instruction. This is the 18 chapters, the final chapter's essence, that devotional service to Krishna is the most confidential instruction. And also we should understand that all the departments of knowledge are part and parcel of understanding that Lord is transcendental. He is above the material world, he is above the modes of nature, and he is always there in his eternal internal potency. And we are manifested of his energy, and we are in two classes, aren't we? Eternally conditioned and eternally liberated. So all of us on this material planet are all conditioned, and once we are able to reach the Golok Dham of Krishna to serve him there, then we become eternally liberated. And the principal matters of Bhagavad Gita, the 5 Prabhupada is reminding in his purport, they are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, material nature, the living entities, eternal time, and all kinds of activities. They are the 5 principal subjects of Bhagavad Gita, which are discussed. And the conceptions of Bhagwan are impersonal Brahman, the localized Paramatma, and of course the absolute truth. So these are the 3 conceptions of the Bhagwan. And living entity is between the Lord. In other words, the living entity is situated between the 2 energies of the Lord, and because we belong to the higher energy of the Lord, so we have got a little independence in us as well. God has given us that. So by proper use of that independence, we can come in the direct order of Krishna, and we can come back to our normal condition, that is pleasure-giving potency. So Lord is just like the sun, and all the living entities are like the sunshine, because we are the marginal energies of Krishna. We are part and parcel of the Lord. In our original position, we are pure spirit. But in this material world, we are conditioned, and when this conditioning is completely going to go off, when we will get liberated, then it will be the pure original position of our self. So thank you for joining. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purports of to the 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of its conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.